Hello, welcome to the Animation Industry Podcast. My name is Terry, and this is going to be the last episode of 2022 because I'm taking a break for the holidays, but I'll be back in January. So if you are an avid listener, do not worry. There's like 100 more episodes coming, so look out in the new year for this podcast. Thank you. Bye. Have a great holiday. Today I'm chatting with Laura Gonçalves, a 2D animator from Portugal who is part of the BAP Animation Studio collective. She's known for such films as Drop by Drop, 3 Weeks in December, and her most recent work, The Garbage Man, of which she shares all about her process from ideation to funding to production and aftermath. So without further ado, let's jump in. Hi Laura, how you doing? Thanks for joining me on the podcast today.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's really nice to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to chat. I'm wondering if you can, I would love to chat about your short film and also, what you do in Portugal and the artist collective you're part of. But maybe let's just start with your short film, The Garbage Man. Can you give me a short synopsis on what this film is about? And then we can chat about the wonderful journey to make it and put it out there and get some awards.
Yeah, sure. So the film is inspired. It's basically this gathering of my family during a lunch on an August day, where all of the people come together and we start talking about a member of the family that is not there anymore, but we are just sharing memories of different moments of his life, from the dictatorship, like growing in the fascism in Portugal, during the dictatorship, going to the war in Angola, and coming back to Portugal, and going to France, immigrating to France with his family to look for a better life, where he worked in for 30 years as a garbage man, where he would collect things and bring it to us, and we are just sharing the memories that we have of all of these moments. And it's all it's all based on my family's voices, and there is in the stories that they're telling, and it's actually a very true moment for us.
It feels very much so
Because
when you're
it
watching.
is sure.
I'm wondering,
Thank you.
a lot of animators want to create short films, and a lot of people choose to do fantasy things that they've thought of or characters they've thought of. But you chose to do something very intimate, and not only intimate for yourself, but involve your family members in a very, they're talking about somebody that's not there anymore, and many details of his life, and it's done in such I think the animation style fits perfectly with it. It's very unique and it feels very like homegrown. Why did you choose to do something of this nature?
So I am very interested in people's stories, and I think that there is so much about personal stories that, of course, that fantasy is very beautiful and you can take a lot out from imagination. In this case, I think that I, as a filmmaker and as a person, most of all, I really love to hear stories, and I love to draw, and I have this for a long time, which is I just imagine stories while people are telling me, and I just visualize them in animation. So it's something that I always wanted to do. And this film it just came out this year, but I've been listening to all of these stories that people, that my family are sharing at the table all of the time that I'm with them. And I've been visualizing this film for a long time now.
Yeah.
And I did also other films that are based on voices, on real stories that we captured the voices, and we made a movie about it, because there is so many things that people can tell that are not specific, they're not famous, but they can be telling the story of so many people in the world. And animation has a very big power of communicating, of being this universal language of speaking to so many people through using these real voices, but using this drawing on top. In my case, is drawing. I use 2D traditional animation, and for me, it made sense for the memories and the merging between the present and the past. I think it's a very powerful tool, animation, and it's a very powerful the stories of people being said by themselves is also very powerful. So it's just putting these two things together.
Yeah, you raise a really interesting point about, you took your family's life and you basically broadcast it to the whole world through animation, which is, it's done the festival circuit. We're talking, I'm in a different country. I never heard about you before this film, etc. Did it take any convincing from your family to work on this? Like, because they're part of this project as well, even though they didn't animate on it, their voices and their stories. I I have a grandmother who would tell me stories of her childhood, her whole life. But if I were to tell them back to her, she'd be like, "No, you got this wrong, or you didn't do this," or they were like very precious to her. Did you have any of that kind of experience with creating this project and making it publicly available?
So I didn't have any problems because it was very it was very intimate, the whole process, and it was basically I asked them to tell me the stories that they usually tell me with just a recorder. It wasn't very invasive, and we were just having a conversation. So it was very simple to have their how do you say tranquil. They were very tranquil about the whole process, unless except for a few subjects that they're not so used to talk about, and I wanted to talk about in the film, which were about the war and about the immigration to France, which my aunt, the wife of my uncle, didn't really want to talk about so much, because it was very painful for her to talk about these subjects. And for me, to make the film was very important to touch these subjects, because it's also one of the reasons why I wanted to make this film is because my uncle is also it's a person that represents thousands of people in Portugal that went through the same moments in history in this moments in Portugal, and this is the story of a lot of people that went through the same. And it was very important for me to talk about these things with my family, and because they didn't know, in case of the war, they didn't know that much about it. So I wanted to capture the actually that ignorance that there was going on in Portugal at that time, where they didn't know what was going on, and I wanted to have that in the film. But those were the more difficult parts to get.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it was very rewarding to have that. And to be honest, they always trusted me, and with this, they knew that they know me. So I wasn't a filmmaker that was going there to a random family and asking them personal questions. They trusted that I was going to do. I asked, "Are you okay with me making a film about uncle?" And they said, "You know what? We trust you, and we trust that you do what that you're going to do whatever you're going to make us not regret this." So it was very important to hear this from them, and I always wanted to just homage that trust that we have between us, and that strength link between us that I wanted to have also in the film. And yeah, it was very, I was only able to do this film because my family trusted me, and they are my inspiration, definitely, for my work. And a lot of things that I do are coming from these moments that we are together and we're sharing. So I really owe them a lot,
Yeah, I
and
think
I
it's
wanted to share this story with everyone.
yeah, I think well, I think you did it successfully, at least from my experience with the film. But I think it's really interesting that this was a kind of a film that you had to get consent from multiple people that were very personal to you to make. I'm wondering who is the audience for this film? Like, did you made it for yourself, or you made it for them, or you made it for, you mentioned so many like kind of stakeholders, other people who experience this. Like, what is the dream of having this film out into the world for you?
Well, of course, that we make it for us, first of all. I think that the only reason why you feel like you are spending 3 years making something is
Yeah.
because you really love it and you believe in it. And of course, that when you're making a film, you're always thinking how you're going to communicate things, and what is the importance of the subject that you are um, working on, and what did you want to say with it. And for me, with this film, was very important to talk about this personal story of a man that is growing up in a small town in Portugal during the dictatorship, is forced to go to war. It's forced to immigrate after he's coming because there's a dictatorship in Portugal, and is going to France to work in whatever comes that can give him a better life. And that life is to be a garbage man in France. And this is very powerful because this is not talking, it's talking to a public, that it's people that not, it's not just from Portuguese that went through the same steps. They did the same thing. There is thousands of people that went to war. There's most of the people I know someone that was in the war, know someone that has someone that went to the immigration in the 60s, in 70s, to France or Switzerland, or um, and this is also, there is also immigration happening now, and um, people that are going through the garbage of people. We are throwing away things all the time, and it's also about that. It's like giving a second life to things that you have. I think that is also very special, and I think it's a subject that it's also very important to me. It's something that I inherited from my uncle, and I think that I'm from a generation that it starts to valuing that again, and it's a very important subject. Um, that and besides the immigration as well, there is a lot of immigration that in discrimination, and Portuguese people suffered a lot from that in France, and now we're doing the same in Portugal to other people. So it's good to telling stories. It's very important because they're history, and you can learn from history. And before you are speaking bad to another person, just look at yourself and look at your own country, and look what your history went through as well. So
Yeah,
this film was important to me because of that.
it's very interesting to hear you speak about all this after watching the film. It comes across very apparently, and I think you approach the subject from a really heartfelt place. And it's also, not typically you hear people's family members speak from their personal experience, and it all wrapped up and everything too. I'm wondering, you also mentioned you worked on this for 3 years before, and you've been hearing these stories all your life. How did you convince whoever has the money and the production experience and whatnot? How did you convince them that your film needs to be made and you can spend 3 years producing it? Like, what did it take from that perspective, going back in time?
It wasn't supposed to be 3 years. It was 3 years because of the COVID. So
Oh,
it
right.
was extended because there was a lot of delays. We had to work from home, and in our studio we like to work with each other in the same space. And it's to be at home and being having to write emails and do Zoom calls is it's a lot more different than to have someone next to you and you can just mimic things and explain things,
Yeah, yeah,
gestures.
yeah. So
So
back
it's
in
a
the
blend.
start, how did you pitch this project to successfully get it funded and produced?
So I got a fund from ICA, which is the Instituto de Cinema e Audiovisual in Portugal, which is the cultural funding for cinema. And we have an animation specifically appliance. And I pitched it. I did a dossier where we present our note of intention, what is supposed to be the film. I wanted it to be animated documentary, so based on real voices. And I wrote the treatment, which is a sort of the ambience, what things are happening, but it's not a script because being documentary, we have the alternative of write a text that explains more the sort of environment and the interviews that we want, the voices that we want to have, like more of the what is going to be more of the feeling to the
Yeah.
short. And the script is more technical, like the character comes in from the right, and it's something that I couldn't have at that moment because I didn't also had all of the interviews. So that was very helpful that they started only a few years opening this up for animated documentary, which was very good. So the dossier is constituted by note of intention, treatment, storyboard, also character concepts,
Yeah.
and also visual concept
You need
studies
all
of
of this
how
just
it's going
to
to be
you need all of
the
this just to
environment,
pitch the
explaining a
idea.
bit. Sorry?
You need all of this just to pitch the idea.
Yes, this is
Wow. So you have
this.
to do all this work ahead of time. That's crazy.
Yes, it's basically a pre-production of a
Yeah.
pre-production of the movie. So it's going to be it's mostly the jury that is going to give you the money knows what is your intention as a
Yeah.
director
Yeah.
to have what is the objective of the film. So it's very important to talk about the characters, the sound, the music, the voices. For me, it was very important to talk about the voices and my relationship to the main character and the characters in the film, and also the memories, and also in the note of intention, of course, you have to do with, I'm from that small town, and it's important
Yeah.
to talk about this to everyone. So this dossier was handed uh, for the how do you say
The grant
concurso?
writing or the treatment.
Application.
Yeah, the
Yes.
application. How important was it that you had animation experience in this? And like, there's credits in the movie, and there's quite a few people that worked on it as well. Did you have, was part of the application that you already had a team and you knew people that could work on this, or did they hook you up with a team, or did you have to find animators after this? Like they just trusted you, say, here's some money, go go find people who can make this happen?
We have to, with the dossier, we also apply with a budget. Like, this is the money that we need. This is the people that are going to work in the
Yeah.
film. And these are the materials that we're going to use. So we need, like everything is budgeted, and we know I have the luck of working in a studio where we have a team of people that I usually work with,
Yeah.
and we can we know who to count with. Of course, when the time comes, we make adjustments, but usually we know who is going to work for it more or less. And usually we don't put those people in the application, the names. Maybe it's more of it's more the creators. For example, if you have someone to write with you, if it's fiction, you have like an author that you write the story with as a director, and you put also the curriculum of this person counts. If it's someone that can provide, you know, the jury with some knowledge of, okay, this person, you know, we know what the work that this person does. The
Yeah. Wow.
curriculum is something important.
So
But
it sounds like you already, well, you said you're already part of a group of people who you've worked with before, but say you're brand new, you're living in Portugal and you want to apply to this. How difficult is it for somebody who's new and, you know, loves animation, maybe did animation in school, to figure out things like a budget and a production and to, you know, kind of have a name for themselves that might be trustworthy to the jurors?
yeah, that's a very good question. I didn't answer that part because of the how because I was an animator and I did films before, so it
Yeah.
was something that I already had some experience with. Also, the structure is very important because they help a lot. And this film was produced by BAP, which is a production company of cinema, and BAP is our studio, which does did animation. Now it's also a production cooperative. We also produce our own films, and with that structure, we can together understand how this budget is built. Having some experience working on films, we know sort
Yeah.
of how long they're going to take. And this is very important when you're making a budget, to understand that if you have like a movement of camera of 60 seconds, or, you know, like you know already if it's I love to do animation as well for the films that I direct as well. So there's a part of that I know that I'm not going to give to an animator. So all of this counts when you're building this budget. When a new person is making a dossier, it's always very abstract because uh, if it depends on a lot of things. There's not a specific way of working in animation. That's one of the beautiful things about animation, I think, is that people can do it in very different ways. Things can be very different depending on the material. The materials can be very expensive, and this can take like half of the budget, but they can also be done all in computer, which makes a big difference too, or not, because that can also be very expensive. It depends, but it always depends. That's the thing. But as a solo filmmaker applying for the first time, I think it's very important to talk to people that already done it,
Yeah.
getting some feedback on more than feedback is more counseling on how to build a budget. Also, because this is very important when you're making a film, to know that you're not slippering on the budget, that you know that you're going to be able to finish it with the money that you have. And um, this takes some concentration. You have to stop sometimes and think, do maths, and understand if the people that you have working with you can help you finish the film. What can you do by yourself, and what can you give to other people? So getting someone to talk with would be important. You don't have to go with the producer right away. Like, this person is usually the producer that helps you understand the budget, what you need. But in Portugal, you don't have to go with a producer. You can go as a solo filmmaker as well. It's more difficult because the structures that are already proven to be successful help to
Yeah.
get the financial support, because they're giving thousands of euros, and it's usually very they if you have a structure behind, it's easier in that way. But at the same time, it's nice to you know not let all of the same ones win all of the time, because that's a problem as well. When you build a curriculum, and then like you have new artists that want to come in, and it's difficult for them because there's these structures that
Yeah,
already exist.
yeah,
But there is one thing that is really nice in Portugal. Now I'm talking only about Portugal because I don't know about other systems that well. I know a little bit about France as well, and Spain, um, which is in Portugal you have two. In this application, it's once a year, and two of the projects are always given to people that are doing their first or second project.
oh,
So even if they come on the number 18 or 30 or 30, they will be supported to
yeah, yeah,
work
yeah.
on their film,
That's good
to
to know.
give.
I'm wondering if there are people that are in Portugal that are going to listen to this and apply afterwards. I'm wondering, maybe we can roll things back a little bit for you, because you were involved in an artist community. You took just where did it start for you? Like, if you're going to go back in time, where did Laura as the animator begin her journey?
As an animator in animation.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
That's always a long time ago.
Let's roll it back.
No. Let's memories. I started actually um, the I started in doing animation when I started university.
Hmm.
Well, not when I started. It was actually on the third year, because I did animated document. Sorry, not animated documentary. I did arts and multimedia in fine arts in Lisbon, and where I did a lot of things like video, photography, painting, and then we had a chance to choose like a specialty, and I chose animation.
Hmm.
And in the animation course was given by Zep, which is also a filmmaker in Portugal, and he gave us a lot of history on animation, and this was very important to me for the years after to come. He gave us so many beautiful, interesting short films that we saw, that I never saw, and it was the first time, like stop motion, 2D, since the beginning of animation. And I feel like that was was very useful for me to understand what was happening in animation in the world, and understanding how I could contribute as well. But going a little bit more behind, I think that the reason why I fell in love with animation was in this, specifically on short films, was when I was a kid, there was cable TV in Portugal. And I remember this channel that there was only at night, which was called Locomotion. And there was short films at night. And being a kid, I watched these short films that were not for kids. They were not like, I used to watch Cartoon Network and all these things which have a very specific public. But this one was for everyone, and it was amazing to be, as a kid, to be treated. I felt like I was being treated like an adult, like
Hmm.
it was very at the level. And I fell in love I thought that it was completely out of mind, this medium that could talk to everyone. Um, so yeah, when I went to university and I had a chance to apply for animation, I just went for it, and I really love to draw. So to have the drawings in movement, I just it was amazing. I just started doing that, and then I started working for Sardinha Lata, which is a producer
Yeah.
of
Maybe before
a
that,
production company in Lisbon.
when you're in animation school and you're or sorry, taking your fine arts and then you choose animation, were you also looking at the industry in Portugal as well and saying, like, what are the opportunities if I choose animation? to pursue a career? I'm just not familiar with the industry of animation in Portugal at all. So like when you're
I
studying it,
I
what
wasn't really that.
you weren't really that concerned?
No, I was sorry. This stopped a little bit.
Oh, that's all right.
Um, I wasn't really that concerned about animation, like the industry, because when I only started doing animation on my third year, and in the second semester I went to do Erasmus in Southampton in England,
Hmm.
and then when I came back, I applied for an internship in this company, the Sardinha Lata company, because I just wanted, you know, to work on a studio to see how it was. And I was really lucky because they were opening this one internship only for someone to work, um, actually on the film by José Miguel Ribeiro, which was my first film that I worked. And I applied, and also Shah Alexandra Ramirez, which was also in this podcast one like a few years back, and we applied for the same job, and we both got it. And so I started working on the studio, and I got the opportunity to work on, after I did the internship, they invited me to work, me and also Alexandra. We started working on another film professionally, which was for David and Vasco, who, and now the four of us work now together in Porto in
Oh,
this
wow.
BAP studio. So it all started there. And so I met a lot of people in the studio. It was really important for me to apply for that studio. I never had to, look at what was going on. I just applied for the internship. I got it. It was all very lucky. It was the timing. It was very good, and they liked my work, so that was super. That was very nice. And after I worked a few years, I went to do a master's in England because I wanted to do my film, and I had already applied for the financial support in Portugal for doing a film, but twice, and I didn't got it, and I really wanted to make a film, so I went to England to make a film in a master's, and when I came back, I had a film, and I got invited to come to Porto and work on David and Vasco's next film
Wow.
as an animator, also with Alexandra. So both of us kind of did a path together. And after we finished that film, we applied for a film together. So we got the financial support finally, and we made our first film together,
Amazing.
me and Alexandra,
Uh,
which was called Drop by Drop.
yeah. Just to roll back a bit, why did you have to, like, you wanted to create your own film? Why did you choose to do it through a master's instead of just taking time off yourself in Portugal to make a film? What is the extra value of doing a master's that you got?
Yeah, so at that time there was the crisis, and there was a very big cut in Portuguese in the economy in Portugal. It was very, very bad for a lot of countries,
Mm.
especially Portugal and Italy and Greece and Ireland. Um, Here they stopped financial support completely for cinema, so there was a lot of people unemployed during that time, and I decided to go to study during that time to England. And I chose England specifically to go do my master's because I wanted to do I wanted to um, work on the expression of animation, but on documentary using these both um, medias. And there was not that many things at that time. This was 2011. And there wasn't that much things happening on this at that time. It was something, now there's a lot. Animated documentary has become something that has its own category. But at that time, it wasn't like that, and there wasn't that many people writing about it. The reason why I wanted to do this master's was because I found out that there was this teacher called Paul Ward in Bournemouth University that was writing about animated documentaries, and he was a teacher of animation there. So I applied for the master's, which was like the first or the second year of master's. I don't remember now. I don't have it so clear in my mind, but I know that they were just opening this course of master's, which was very everyone together. It wasn't just animation; it was animation, photography, design. It was a very arty school. Everything they had fashion and photography, sound. They had a lot of subjects. It was very interesting, and this really appealed to me. And I went there mostly for the future, and then I ended up fighting a lot to make my film because they wanted me to just write, but I really wanted to make a film, and that was really worth it. And I learned a lot. It was really good because he invited also people that was very important to me to meet at that point. So yes, I mean you can make, if you want to make a film, you can make it yourself at in the house by yourself.
Yeah.
But I don't have that discipline, and I wouldn't be able to do it.
I see, I see, I see.
Probably. And I think that doing a master's or doing some kind of, even if it's just a workshop, something that you know, you can talk to people, you can be inspired. It also depends on people. I need to be surrounded by people. I love to share this, and I get really inspired and motivated if I'm surrounded by people. I'm not you know, like I'm not so, of course I have my moments as well as
Yeah.
everyone, but I rather work, and I feel like my ideas come more when I'm talking with people and I'm surrounded by people.
Yeah. Makes
This
sense.
is just my experience.
So tell me a little bit about the collective you're part of now, that where it sounds like it's kind of your dream of working. You're making
It
your own
is.
stuff, you're helping other people make
I'm
their
very
stuff, you're
lucky
not
to
by
be
yourself.
part of this collective. Yes, it is like that. So basically we started as a studio doing animation for Bonaparte. And then we made films there for a long time all together. It was me, Alexandra, David and Vasco, and Vitor Hugo. And then the team started getting bigger and bigger, and we were just making films and working on each other's films. So if I was making a film, they would work on mine, and vice versa. And this would make sure that you could have a more full-time job in a way, like have a work during the year, because you wouldn't have to, okay, now I finished the film and now I need the break and I don't have any work to do because I need to think about my next project. In this case, here in the collective, you could, when you finish a film, you can start doing animation or painting for another person's film. So that is very, it gives us some base, some nice cushion, that it's nice to think of while we're thinking about another project. We can still be paid for making work, and also make a film with another person that we really love, which is we like to work on people's films that we like. It takes so long to make a film that the time that you spend during work, if it's 1 year or 3 years, whatever it is, at least it's something that is rewarding. You're liking the time that you're spending with these people. And for us was very important. This collective it works because we like to work on each other's films. We respect each other as authors. We like to spend time with each other, and we really push each other. And yes, we got now we are a cooperative. BAP Animation Studios, and we produce our own films. And we have a big team, small, but you know, we're kind of a small studio. We're not big. When I say big, is because we started by being 5 or 6, and now we're 15. So it's getting bigger and bigger. And also these people that we are working with are also making their films. So it's really beautiful, and it's really interesting. And we are always, you know, the really good things is that we are always giving feedback and receiving feedback, and this is very important to have when you're making a film, and it makes us think about what we're doing.
I really love, and I've thought about BAP Animation Studios over the years as well, ever since I heard about it. I really love the idea of just a collective of artists, you know, working on each other's films. And it makes sense from a sustainability standpoint too, because if you get funding one year, somebody else gets funding another year, you're still working kind of full time. Do you take also commercial work from, you know, I don't know, other clients as well? Or is it only, you know, government funded films that you make?
We actually, we never had to do commercial works. We have been for more than 10 years working on just tutorial works.
Wow.
So we have been working on short films that we want to make, and we feel like they're going to bring something to people. So we are very lucky about
Yeah,
that.
that's incredible. If you were to take a snapshot of kind of, you know, the opportunities of animators in Portugal right now, you know, you're part of a collective. How much work is there for people trying to break in to the industry in Portugal?
So it is very, very difficult to get into it's very difficult, but it's always, you know, it depends on the timing. I can speak for ourselves at BAP, but I think that I also speak for a lot of other companies. We have a very specific team that we already, it's very important when we are making a budget that we already know which of the people are going to work on it, what we can count on it, what are the styles, people that fit more, people that would enjoy more working on this, and other people that would enjoy more working on this, and they can bring different things into these different projects. And sometimes we get you know, people that want to work with us, and it's very difficult sometimes to fit them in, because we have a very, the budget that we have, it's that one, that it goes completely to, you know, that film into those people, and sometimes it's difficult to get people in. But sometimes it's like a leap of faith, and we get people that we never worked with, and we start working with, and we are very lucky because we enjoy their work. But it's a very big leap of faith, because it's very important that we know what to count with when we are working on such a tight budget. So and we like to really pay for people to work with us, so we don't really like to have internships, even though I think that they are very important for the person that is doing the internship to understand if they like to work in studio, first of all, because you need to really be passionate about making the same drawing, that it looks a lot, you know, very close. You know, sometimes people start working in the studio and working on animation, and they think, wait, this is not what I want after all. So I think that an internship period is very important for the person to understand if they like to be working on a studio, and also for the people in the studio to understand how much this person can provide. You know, like in the end of the day, it is a job, but it needs a lot of passion. It's not just a service for us, because we are not making, you know, like we're not working on commercials where we have, okay, you just do this and that's it, and then you can go to your life. We like to keep people. We like to make sure that once we like to invest on people. So if we have someone that we like, we make sure that well, we make sure inside of the, the possibilities that we can work with them on other projects. And this is very important to us, that it's not just people that are coming and going, it's people that we are, creating an environment of work and family and being well with each other.
Yeah, well, obviously it's paying off because your film and other films have gone on to win many many awards, which I think is great. I'm wondering, kind of summing up your experience, you discovered that you really enjoyed animation in college in your third year. You went away to London to do a master's. You did your own film. You come back, you're part of this collaborative, and you just finished producing an amazing film that has done the circuit of festivals and whatnot. How does this all feel as as a life choice and a career choice for you? Like, just how does this feel right now?
No, it feels really good because I really love animation, and 2D
Yeah.
animation, which is the animation that I do. I feel like it has a lot of potentiality, that you can reinvent yourself all of the time. It's like a whiteboard that you can really create worlds. And so I think that it's something that I will not get tired of as long as you can create different worlds. So I think that it is something that I won't get bored of that fast, at least for now.
Oh, good.
But
So
it
then
is,
what's next for
animation is
you?
something that can really. So I've been doing short films, and which I really love. I love the format, and I really love to use people's voices, the real voices of people. But when you're in an editing process, you have to take a lot of things out because you have, like a limit on
Yeah.
time. And I would like to, in the future, work on different formats, so extend a little bit more the time. So I would like, I've just got financial support for development of a series. So I will be doing that with a friend of mine, Lucia Vicente, which is a writer, and she has made a book called um, M of, oh, no, sorry, Portuguesas com M grande. Sorry, let me just translate this. Portuguese with big M. M is mulher, which means woman in Portuguese. And the series touches a little bit of this subject of the role played by woman in this constructing the role of woman in the jobs. So like jobs that supposedly are for men, and they're being played by women, but it's all based on real stories. So each episode would be to
Congratulations. You're going from a short film right into a development of a series. That's
well,
amazing.
it's a development. It's something that we are working on, and we're going to do some interviews and to see how we can develop an idea about
Yeah,
this. And
yeah.
it's a very different world because in short films you don't really think about a public, and you kind of make a movie that it's important to be told. And in the series, it's a different logic. So it's something that I'm really curious to understand how it works, and
Yeah.
how to get this language of animation and documentary further into a wider public.
Well, I think that is definitely a challenge, but I think that's
Yes.
incredible. I wish you best of luck in this, and I think it's great that you've partnered with a writer, and it sounds really fun, to be honest, that you're exploring this. I'm wondering, maybe
Yes.
as we're wrapping
I'm
up,
really
we
excited.
chatted about The Garbage Man, your career, your beginnings, and where you're going. Is there anything left that you wanted to share for those pursuing animation in Portugal or short film storytelling or anything else that it's on your mind?
No, just to underline that idea of if you like animation, and if you're passionate about, the moving image, and you want to tell stories, just go for it. write about it, if you can apply for it, apply with Associé for the financial support if you want to develop something in your house, or to even get a collective with friends of yours that also are wants to, even if it's music, like animation is so complex, it's made of so many, like music is a very important part, sound design, writing, so you can get a collective of people that you can push each other, and this can be a really nice way of doing it. And also, you were asking before about someone, like how it is to work in to get into the field. Send portfolios, show that you're there, and maybe you get seen, and just being seen. Like if you hide, no one is going to see anything, so just knock on doors.
I think that, there's two things there. One is, your story yourself is a testament to just pushing for the love of animation. You said even you applied twice before and you got rejected for funding. So
that's very normal. That's very normal. You shouldn't be afraid of being rejected. It doesn't mean that you're not doing, like you shouldn't be doing this. It's like, okay, it's just a no, just go for another.
Well, often, and I feel this way too, when I put together a pitch idea, it's so personal. And when I get rejected, it feels terrible, but it's just part of business. The timing isn't right, or, you didn't have the right consultation from people who've done it before. So, and I love that you push yourself. You're like, you know what, there's nothing happening in animation in Portugal right now. I'm going to go to a different country. And you even had to push to make a documentary there when they didn't want you to do that. So, and look where you are now. I think it's great. You're part of this collaborative. You've got your first short film, which has won multiple awards, and developing a series. So I think that's really, really fantastic. So thank you so much for
this was part. This is all there's. It's not just me. It's like it's a part of it. It's like pushing each other. I think that is like I'm not here just because of me. There was a lot of things that made this happen, and it's there's a lot of things that contribute to this, like people pushing, talking to people, and showing your work. And it's important to be out there. Go to festivals. Is also something very important.
Meet other if you go to a festival, every single person there is a fanatic about animation, so you're gonna have something in common with everybody.
Yes, definitely.
Amazing. Well, is there anything else you'd like to share, Laura, as we're wrapping up here?
No, thank you so much for the invitation. It's really I really love Toronto. I went to TIFF this year.
Oh, amazing. Oh no.
And it was
I wish I knew we could have met up.
Yes, me too. When you said that you were in Toronto, I was very happy.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, and best of success with your series development. I think that's fantastic, and I'll look out for that. And it's great to chat with you and hear what's going on in your part of the world too. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and if you're listening and you want to follow Laura or get in touch with her, you can check out her Instagram, and I'll include a link to that in the description of this chat. And that's all for now. So thank you so much for listening. Okay, bye. The music for this podcast was composed by Will Farmer and the graphics by Daniel Abensauer. I encourage you to look them up if you enjoyed their work.